So the environmental piece is kind of the biggest, I feel, is what people do, and environmental sustainability. How important is the social side of it? Employment of people. What do they want to know?
Yeah, so I think it's interesting. I think you default to environment because ESG, it's the first letter in it, right? And handedly, so, that's probably where your interests lie.
Yes.
I think many organisations have struggled more with S and how that is kind of motivated and how you connect it to the E, because quite often this work is done in kind of corporate affairs teams and it's really focused on reporting, and it quite often drifts into CSR work, stuff we're doing on carbon neutrality or whatever it might be. And the work of a people function or an HR department, where the biggest levers for having real social impact lie, are often sort of an adjunct to that, and we might be asked to contribute to the ESG report, but it's not really kind of considered and integrated. How are we being like a responsible business, in the broadest possible sense? And so there's a couple of drivers that I see changing at the moment, which are really relevant to this space. One is this sort of rush for being more purpose-led organisations. And so some organisations are purpose-led by, their founders. They always always had really strong kind of responsible ethoses right from the get-go. And many other organisations, they recognise that many people don't just want to turn up and take their paycheck and sort of really only be focused on the 9 to 5 and the kind of the benefits or the rewards you get from it, but people actually want to work in a place where their values, the purpose kind of aligns to their own personal values. And I think we've seen, it's really evident that many organisations at the moment are trying to get clear on what their purpose beyond profit is. And I think this is where ESG, CSR, whatever you want to call it, is really, it's not even having a renaissance, it's really coming of age. And the other thing which I think really contributes to this space, which we see in many organisations, is this drive around social equity, whether that's a diversity and inclusion agenda, and it's a field that I have held kind of leadership roles in, and it's so in demand. We were a bit ahead of it, I think, in some of the organisations I've worked in previously, but I have loads of friends and colleagues who are now really successfully setting up consultancies, because you cannot get enough good people to help organisations make sure that their employment practices are socially just. And so there's the sort of demand part of it, but the flip side is, if you look, and a lot is made of like Gen Z or millennial aspirations and how expectations around work are changing. And there's loads of research, you can Google it, there's loads and loads of it around how younger generations are much more drawn to organisations where their purposes or values are more aligned to their own. And often environmental, sustainability, social equity are the things that they're talking about. But I think quite a lot is made of that young generation. What we also see, I think, life expectancy has increased 30 years in the last century. And I read a stat the other day that somebody born in Japan in 2007 has got a 50% chance of living to more than 100.
Wow.
And so the career is no longer something that's going to finish at 65. I mean, for many people it doesn't already. And so this whole idea around a career or, active participation in the workforce as being something much, much longer than it has been historically is something which is really coming at us really quickly, and progressive organisations are noticing that. And what we also know is that over 50s, more than half of them want to continue working beyond 65. They feel they've got skills that are relevant. They feel they want to continue contributing. But one of the key drivers for that demographic is also doing meaningful, purposeful work. Not just taking my paycheck, not just working for an organisation that serves me well in a sort of basic sense. And this is where CSR, ESG, purpose-led, responsible businesses become so much more attractive for people who have choices. And let's acknowledge that there are plenty of people, young and old, who don't have that many choices about where they can work. But for people who have the skills and they're in the locations where they have choices, it's becoming increasingly important.
The Environmental Business Network is here to help all businesses adapt to and benefit from the very different economic and environmental futures we all face. Subscribe to our YouTube channel or visit the website to find out more information.